Hey, Seattle.
Hey, Atlanta.
As always, it's your girls, Jasmine and Shantae.
Welcome to another episode of The Way with Jazz and Tae.
We'll be bringing you laughs, class, and a whole lot of sass.
Period. Now let's get into this week's episode.
Hey, everybody.
What it do?
Oh, I like that. What it do, Paul Wall. Welcome back to another episode of The Way. It's your girl, Jazz and
Shantae.
And we are so excited for today's episode. You know why?
Because it's International Women's Day.
Exactly. And it's all about the ladies.
Real girl power. Peace.
Who run the world, girls? Girls. Who run the world,
girls?
But yeah, no, we are very excited because we planned this episode ahead of time, which I know that we're supposed to do, but we were really excited because we knew that this episode was going to be dropping today. So you guys are welcome. You guys are welcome.
We are welcome. We are primed. We are well researched. Hopefully,
we are
excited.
I think we are.
I think so too. So here is what you can look forward to this episode. We're definitely going to have to talk about Normani's long-awaited, long-anticipated album drop. What is it? Dopamine?
Dopamine. Yes.
Okay.
It's about damn time. Okay, listen.
Who do we need to talk to? We'll get into that. And then we're also going to review the Wendy Williams documentary, Where is Wendy Williams? And baby,
just deep sigh. That's all I can say.
I didn't know what to expect going in.
There's a lot to unpack.
And having gone halfway through, I'm just still not exactly sure how I'm supposed to have felt.
I know that we said we were only going to do the first 2 episodes, but after I ended the second one, I was low-key ready to keep going.
Same.
I was ready to keep going.
And then we're also, of course, going to touch on International Women's Day. This International Women's Day theme is women who advocate for equity, diversity, and inclusion. And so we just felt like it was absolutely necessary for us to highlight a couple of females who we felt like embody that perfectly. So that's going to be today's show, and we are very excited to get into it.
I am. We are going to kick it off, though, with Miss Normani. Okay?
Come on.
She has been giving us single after single, year after year, with no solo album date in sight. And she has been getting the girls up in a tiff because the singles she's been putting out is fire.
Pretty fire.
All we can do is ask. Yeah, all we can do is wonder, where is the album?
I just have so many questions.
Well, listen, so things are about to change. We don't have a date still.
Okay.
But we've at least been gifted with cover art and at least the album title. Okay, so we know what, and we know that it's coming at some point this year. We just don't know when.
Okay.
I will say this though, I don't think it's coming anytime before April, solely because of Beyonce.
I think it's going to be a summertime album.
I feel that. I don't disagree with that. Because if it comes out in springtime, it'll definitely have time to marinate and simmer so that it's in full-blown hot girl summer mode.
Yes. But also, if she drops it in the summertime, I'm talking early June, late June, then it won't be tired by the time the awards circuit start.
Oh, that's a good point. You think she's going for a Grammy?
Girl, why wouldn't she? It's her first solo album, and at this point, what are we doing?
And I will say, though, if not the Grammys, she's definitely getting a VMA.
Oh, absolutely.
Because we know that this girl... she comes and she shows out. She's a dancer. She's a performer. Those music videos are going to be popping.
Oh, absolutely.
So
no, I think she's going for a Grammy.
I don't doubt it. I would think it would be nice, kind of comeback, or just with everything that's been going on.
I feel no disrespect to Tyla and her success, but I feel if she won a Grammy this year for Water, I don't even know what's on Dopamine. I feel Normani will get a nod, a nom.
I'm glad, and I'm glad you said that because I'm not to take away from Tyla or anything. I think she's a beautiful girl. She does have a nice voice. I think Water only had the impact or like it was the phenomenon that it was because of that twerk dance.
Yeah, that's it.
I don't think like the song is cute and it's great and all, but I just don't think it's you know, it's an amazing, like there are so many songs that have won Grammys that make you like feel things and like and all that. This was a dance song.
I'm just gonna say that the fact that she won a Grammy on her first Grammy like run over Beyonce's Renaissance Anything is just upsetting me and my homegirl.
And Nicki so doesn't have one, not one. Okay,
I'm upset about it. I am upset about it. Let me not act like I haven't been a fan all these years, but like
that's lately, a different conversation.
You know what I'm saying? Like this year, I don't think Nicki deserved a Grammy anyway. So,
back to Miss Normani here. So she's given us "Dancing with a Stranger" with Sam Smith. We've got "Motivation," "Wild Side," which was every bisexual lesbian's dream.
You think Wild Side's gonna be on this album?
No, please don't, because we've done Wild Sided it all out and played it out. Like I love it, but it's a single. I don't. Maybe if it's on the album, it's because it's like setting the tone for the album. But like, please don't put it on there. Don't take up space on this album by putting Wild Side on there. I
know you hate when they do that. You're like, we've heard this single already. We need all the new tracks.
And like, I know everybody's so hype about it, and I've seen so much discourse over the last few years, like pretty much talking about that too. Like they're asking her, like, Rihanna, where is this album? Like, what are we doing?
Do we have any like inclination or like idea as to why it's taken so long? Is it a record label thing? Is it a her thing? Like, what is it? What is it?
So I did some research.
Ooh,
this album has been in the works since 2018. So it's been almost 6 years. Okay. She started it in 2018. What I found out, don't make that face. Listen, her parents, not one, but both of her parents got sick with the same cancer. So in the research that I found out, I guess years ago, like 19 years before 2020. So like when Normani was just a baby, or like 5-6 years old, her mom was diagnosed with the cancer, and it had been in remission up until 2020 when it resurfaced. So she's been battling it since 2020. I guess a year later, her father was diagnosed with the same like illness.
Do we know what cancer?
That I did not do much digging into.
I know it's not important, but
I thought it was just crazy that like, what are the odds that you and your husband?
And that's why I asked.
Like, yeah, no, I'm over here thinking, I'm like, is it an environmental thing?
Exactly. I have
questions.
I have questions.
But yeah, I guess that it was obviously it's a lot for her. She's obviously very close to her. Yeah, no, for sure. And I saw some kind of quote, but it was pretty much just basically like, fuck this music shit. This doesn't mean anything to me right now. Like, yeah, y'all will get it when it's ready. So that's ultimately why it's been on the back seat for as long as it has been. Because like, taking that into account, she has been putting out singles like here and there. She's still been making music. She's not completely just like stopped, but I can understand not being able to put all of your attention into a full album during something like this. So
yeah, that makes it make a lot of sense. And you know what I'm the most excited about? I'm ready for her to upstage Camila Cabello. I'm sure there's no bad blood there because they came from the same group, but I just feel like I had already manifested that Camila Cabello would be the first to go solo, but I was just hoping that Normani would outshine her. So I just hope that when she drops it, it is well worth the wait. But it's going to be a very interesting 2024 music-wise because a lot of people are dropping albums, and I'm very excited about that.
Who else besides, we got Beyonce, we got Normani. Who else is dropping projects?
Meg is dropping an album.
She is. Gosh, okay.
I think Justin Timberlake, if he hasn't already, is. I don't know that that's somebody that we would throw in there.
You know what's crazy is I love Justin Timberlake. And what I'm learning is that like, it's not Justin Timberlake that I love the music that Justin Timberlake makes. He has had an amazing career. Like he's done a lot of work with Pharrell and Timbaland, and I think that's really helped have him. But like, the older that I get, the more that I learn about like how things have like happened over the years in like the industry, the more that he's becoming a villain to me, the way that J-Lo is.
Oh, I think J-Lo, she's either, I don't know if she's dropping an album, but she's going on tour. So I would assume that means she's dropping music as well.
Okay. But yeah, with Miss Normani, she definitely has that star-like quality, like what we see in Beyonce and what we see in like even with Chloe, because you know Chloe tries to embody Beyonce, but like she's a performer, you know, she's not just gonna get up there and sing. And I even wrote in my notes I brought up Camila Cabello because like with Camila, she's always, I feel like, had to do a little bit more
always
to stand out. You know what I mean? Like she's always had to do a little bit like extra in order to like, I guess, kind of have that kind of same like star quality that just comes naturally like to Normani. Normani just kind of exists and does her art and is amazing, and that's what gives her the love and like attention rather than just Camila being extra as fuck.
I will say I agree with that to an extent, but I don't think that it's a she has to be extra. I just think she is extra.
Is true.
Like she
can't help it
the most. Like yeah, like she has like this, but she's always had this way about her. I was like, this girl is not going to be able to stay in this group for very long because it's like everybody's doing the choreo and Camila's doing the choreo, but on 20,000 million. And I'm like, baby, it don't even go with the rest of the set.
Literally. I happened to be on Fifth Harmony TikTok or something the other day, and I've seen a few clips over the few days that have highlighted just like them at performances, and they're never doing the same thing.
Never.
Every single one of them is doing something completely different. And it's like, is this Fifth Harmony or what? Because not one of you guys is doing the same shit.
I feel like that was their thing, but like as a girl group, it does not make sense.
No.
Yeah, I was like,
no.
Anyways, I'm excited for it. I hope that it's good.
Me too.
I'm very excited for the visuals because like you said, she's a performer. And so, you know, those music videos are going to be top notch. And I want people to get back to making good music videos again.
Same. I'm excited for like one great music. I'm trying to think. Usher put out that music video with her. Have you seen it?
I think I've seen bits and pieces of it, but
it's called Risk It All. And it's in the video he's doing, it's like a contemporary type of like dancing. It's like modern, like it's actually like
lyrical.
Yeah. And I was just like interesting because like, you know, again, we were talking about the album, we were listening to it and everything, and that's not the visual that I probably would have paired with the song, you know? Yeah. So I really do enjoy like good music videos and watching music videos with songs that I know, because like, I don't know, I listen to a song and I might have a different story or something in mind, but I like seeing the visual that the artists and whatnot
their
put with
interpretation,
because it's their intent and their exactly. Yes.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Well, now that we've talked about Normani's long anticipated and long awaited album, we're going to get into this Wendy Williams documentary. We're going to bring down the vibe a little bit.
A little. Damn. We'll bring it back up. Don't worry.
Yeah. So unless you're living under a rock, and honestly, even if you're not living under a rock, I feel like it's one of those things where you have to kind of be on the internet to know that there's a new Wendy Williams documentary. It's called Where is Wendy? As I said earlier, it was filmed by Lifetime, so it's available on Lifetime. It's on Hulu, but you have to have like the the premium version of it. Yeah. And it's also on Amazon Prime, but you have to pay for it if you're going to watch it. So it's $7 for the season, or like $2 per episode. And it's 4 episodes in total, each being about 50 minutes in length. Essentially what has happened is a camera crew filmed her for 2 years following her life after the end of the Wendy Williams show, and also kind of films her life now that she's been placed under a financial guardianship. It is interesting. Like, I have a very hard time articulating what it is.
Yeah. No, it's definitely like, because going into it, I don't know necessarily what the purpose is of it. Like, is this supposed to be like a documentary of like, you know, what's going on up to this point? Like, can you just give us an insight? Because, you know, the general public really doesn't know. We really don't know.
Right.
But the more that, like, I feel like we watched it or go into it, the more that it almost just kind of seems like they're low-key exploiting her. Like, I know that the producers can only do so much, but, like, there's got to be some, like, I know they can't really, like, interfere in, like, a way, but just there's so much that we've seen that I feel like is going on that's, like, not necessarily, like, okay. Yeah. And there's not a very huge urgent concern for her, I feel like, you know?
I feel very... See, now I feel like that's where I feel torn.
Yeah.
I definitely, it feels exploitative in some points, but, like, I also feel like watching her, I feel like, I think I asked you this earlier, I want to know who greenlit the documentary.
Literally, because
I have a feeling it was her.
You know, and that's okay.
I want to do a documentary, and, like, even watching it, it's like she says that she's better or that she's doing fine, and, like, nobody else really knows because she's sitting here lying, even though she does not seem well. But they can only take her for her word. I mean, they're not her doctors. They don't really know how bad this really is, and she's just acting how they've known her to act, because these people have only been around since kind of like the decline of Wendy, not when Wendy was up. She's gotten rid of anybody who knows what she was like prior to this. So it's like nobody actually knows how bad things really are. And so it's like, for that reason, I'm like, it doesn't give, they're exploiting her, but it does at the same.
It's, I feel like what part of the issue is too is, like, one, they said that, so the guardian, whoever the guardian is, and then also the doctors or who are involved with, like, the court and stuff, so they've refused to participate in any of this. So yes, so like you're saying, we only are getting what Wendy is willing to, like, give and everything like that. So like, so yeah, and like she's even cut her son off. Like, she doesn't have any contact. Like, she'll talk to him on the phone, but, like, she's basically said, like, I don't want him at the house. She's gotten rid of him because she knows that he knows she's not well. Okay, and so
interfere.
I'm glad that you mentioned that, because, like, that was kind of confusing me, because she's consistent in the 2 episodes that we've seen, talked about how she loves him. Everything is for him. Everything she's done is for him. That's her pride, her joy, her whole entire world. And then they've asked her too, like, you know, is there any relationship you want to repair, people that you, like, miss? And she said, like, you know, my son. And then her son goes on to say that same thing, that, like, you know, she's pushed me away and all of this. And so, like, I was really confused listening to that, because how can you say all of this and speak this way about, like, your son and all this love and everything that you have for him, yet why is he not here for you? Why is Will taking care of you? Why is Sean taking care of you?
Because they will roll. They are yes men, just like her son said. That's why I'm saying it doesn't feel like they're exploiting her, because I feel like this is what she wants. And so she has found a group of people that will say, yes, Wendy.
Yep.
Whatever you want, Wendy.
And I didn't think about this at first, but, like, Will, who is her manager, that's who is acting as her manager, whom she said she's known for years. They've had a long friendship, whatever. Like, at times I do feel like he's acting in her best interest, and I'm like, is this just because is this for the cameras? Like, are you being, like, performative? But then also, like, that scene, there's a scene where she's coming out of, like, the training facility, and she pushes the trainer. She's like, get away from me. I'm taking pictures by myself. And then, like, she pulls Will in, and Will is immediately, like, smiles up for the cameras. Will's like, okay, that's what we're doing. Like, and is more than happy to smile and pose with her, you know? And I'm just kind of like, it seems really opportunistic also. I think I agree. I don't know. It's like, it has me all over the place, because it's like, I watch it and I'm like, he seems like one of the only people in the world who cares for her in a way. And I won't say, like, her family doesn't. She's very clearly cut them all off. Access to her. I mean, they even said in the documentary that she was doing better when she was with family. And then she left, and now here she is again, and things are really bad. And so it's like, he, like,
definitely pours into her and supports her. It's like, you know, she definitely has these moments where it's like she doubts herself or she's forgetting things, like her memory slips her, or she just kind of goes somewhere else. And he's like, it's you, Wendy. Like, it's like, people love you. Like, you're a legend. And like, for that reason, I'm like, I think he really does care. But he did say something in the second episode, and it was like, he basically said, like, you know, they asked, like, do you think Wendy is ready? And he asked the question back to the producers.
He's like, you've spent days with her. Do you think she's ready?
They shook his head, and he was like, nobody can articulate it, but everybody has the same reaction. And he is like, I think that I just don't want to ask the question because I don't want the real answer. And I'm like, that is what I don't like about him, because that's where it seems like you're being an operator. You're trying to take advantage of the situation, and it's like, I don't think he's doing it in like a malicious way, but that's what's happening, because you see she is not well. Things are not going great. She treats people she treats you poorly. And it's really just going to take for one person. And honestly, he has the kind of like pull where like when she's acting ridiculously rude towards him,
he can talk crazy right back to her.
He talks crazy, and she'll apologize and say, you know, I'm really sorry. And so I'm like, you're probably one of the only people that could actually get through to her, but you're choosing to be a coward and just be a yes man, because that's better than what? Like,
it reminds me, like, it's really hard because it's so conflicting, because yes, we all know who Wendy Williams is and like how she was and how she talked about people, etc. So like, and everyone has had their piece to say, and that, you know, it's karma coming full circle, you know. But her son said something in one of his like interviews that said that, like, you know, and I think it speaks volumes to like how and why she operates the way that she does. But, you know, people, like, she has people in her circle who love her and who value her and see her importance. And she's never needed her celebrity lifestyle or the Wendy show or the platform for her to have that importance and people that love her. But she doesn't feel
that way. She feels that way.
She doesn't see that. She gets her validation and her self-confidence all from what others think and say about her.
I completely agree.
And it's obvious because, you know, she loves her fans. She does everything for her fans. As soon as, you know, cameras or, you know, something comes around, she turns it on. You know, she's more than happy to put that face on. But another aspect that I kind of was noticing throughout this is that she doesn't have any girlfriends. She has that one lady who like will keep coming up every now and then in like the interviews and confessionals and stuff, you know. But as far as like what we're seeing and stuff, she doesn't have women that aren't like family that are like close to her. A lot of her closest friends and like long relationships are these men, and I truly feel like it comes from a place of insecurity. Just looking and listen to how she talks to the women who are around her. Like, she's straight up said to her publicist mid-conversation, I wish you would get lipo.
Literally. And I was like, what the fuck is happening?
Her like stylist, you know, she was telling Will behind her back, like, I don't like her, you know. And when you think about what Wendy is not the most conventionally attractive. Her husband had an affair on her for years, had a baby on her, was spoiling this woman with all of her money. I'm sure that does something to your confidence. And especially as someone who's in the spotlight constantly talking about other people's shortcomings and downfalls. But like, I feel like a lot of that plays into why she does not like other women. You know, I hate to draw that like parallel, but like I just feel like she's truly insecure around a lot of other women who she doesn't necessarily feel better than, if that makes sense.
I think that she's just insecure.
Period.
Like, I don't think because I mean, you know, she does interviews with other women. I think she's very well connected. I think it's true. Like it's where she is in this point of her life. She's probably just cut off from any female friends or female, I wouldn't even say friends, like colleagues, acquaintances that she ever did have. Like her life is very lonely. Like, yeah, there are these
extremely
men, but like really the only people that are around her are the team of people trying to help her with this podcast. And it's like, that's really it. I wouldn't even call them to be real friends.
Yeah.
They're all there to say yes to her and then to go home so she can drink herself to sleep. So it's like, I agree with that, but I also just think that I agree that it's insecurity, but I also feel like there is something probably with like her medical condition.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the alcoholism. I don't know what it is, but there is a screw or some piece of like normal social interaction that's not
there.
It's not there anymore. Like it's completely gone. And like,
well, didn't her niece say that, or her nephew? One of them said that they were like, you know, she's always been a little brash and
she's been abrasive and blunt. Like we know that about Wendy,
but they said it's been getting worse.
But like to tell somebody mid-sentence, like talking about something completely irrelevant, like to this point that they need to get, she wishes they'd get liposuction. I would like, that's not even Wendy. You know what I'm saying? Like when she said that, I was like, where did that come from? And she talking to her.
Yeah.
And then continued the conversation.
No, literally. And I felt bad. Her publicist was just, like, one, this is being filmed. Her publicist she just sits there with a smile. She's like, okay. You know, what was crazy was that she said, I wish you would get lipo. And then immediately followed it up with a compliment.
I can't wait. Yeah, I can't wait. But your hair is amazing. And I can't wait to go to California.
Yeah. Like,
what are we talking about? We were planning for our trip. What's happening?
You know, and I think, and I don't know again also how long is the full season just the 4 episodes?
I think, but I'm not sure.
I feel like, you know, whatever's coming in the next 2 episodes, her condition probably like severely like worsens or something, just because, you know, there was that incident in the 2nd episode where she went to go get a vape and they stopped by that smoke shop that she always goes to. They know who she is. She said it's right down the street from where she used to do the Wendy show, all of that. They stop there, they get her what she wants, and she's adamant that and she's like being mean at the same time. She's like, you guys are stupid. I'm telling you that this isn't where, like, are you guys done? Like, what's going on? And they indulge in her. She's like, I'm telling you that this is the right spot. So they follow her instructions, take her right back to where they were, and she still isn't familiar. She's like, still
she
not
even says that I don't even know where I am.
Yeah. And it was at that point the crew had to take a break for a few days.
Yeah. And what I will say, so like I read this earlier today, but the crew did not know. So for your knowledge, like she's suffering from aphasia and like dementia as well. A form of dementia.
Prefrontal dementia or something.
So the crew, Lifetime, the producers who filmed this, they did not know at the time that they were filming this that she had dementia. And so they're like, you know, if we had known this, we would not have filmed this. And it now makes everything kind of make sense.
Okay, so when did they find out? Because I know we saw that article just like last week, which was kind of what prompted this. So like, did they find out when we found out?
They probably just found out too.
Damn. So was that part of the conditions that you feel like she was like hiding from them? Like, do you think she knew even then?
I don't know, because another thing is like, even in the documentary, she's like blaming, you know, the doctors and whoever this independent guardian is for who has her money. And she's like, I'm going to see all these doctors and it doesn't make any sense. But it's like, it makes a shit ton of sense that you're seeing doctors and neurologists, because you are literally, your body's eating away at itself. You're deteriorating. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't have feeling in your feet. Like your health is bad. And you're not also taking care of yourself to make it any better. You're like completely delusional about the fact that you have dementia.
Offline, you had mentioned that her situation reminds you a lot of Anna Nicole Smith.
Yes.
And there's a lot of similarities, and like,
it's sad.
It is really sad. And I don't think you're wrong. Like literally just watching it and knowing even that this was already like a year and a half ago, I'm concerned watching this then that like she was on the verge of ODing or dying or something. And it's 2024 now, and things obviously probably aren't getting any better. I don't think you're wrong. Like, something needs to change, and fast.
Something has to change. And two points I wanted to make towards her irritability and like how mean she is and rude she is to people. Like, that is often a common symptom of people who have dementia. They're confused. They don't know what's going on. They feel like things are happening again and again and again. And so like they become irritable. And so it's like when she talks to her, you know, her publicist and all this, and she's like, you're stupid. I feel like, again, it kind of plays into her insecurity. But I think she also knows something's not right and she's trying to hide it. And so instead she's deflecting, calling them stupid. Like, you should know this. But what it is she doesn't know this.
Yes.
And she can't be like, she's too prideful to be like, do you know? I need your help, because I actually don't know. Because if she does that, then she has to own up to the fact that she's not well, and not well enough to do any of the shit that she really wants to do right now.
No, and that goes back to your other point where you were saying too about like how lonely she is when they had those people show up to her house to help her sort through her clothes because she was supposed to have like a sale or something.
Yes.
And she was just passed out in bed.
She said REM sleep. She was probably blacked out.
Her stylist calls Will. Will shows up and is giving her the tough love. And she talks to him crazy. She's like, you're not my friend. These are my friends. Talking about the camera crew, mind you, who are absolutely not her friends.
Like,
and that's when you were saying, you know, she came to at some point and like whispered to him very quietly, like, you know, I'm sorry. I thought you were someone else. I didn't mean what I said, you know, because I feel like she has this habit of pushing people out of her life, talking to them crazy, being rude, all of this. And so, yeah, she has been left with such few people who have stuck around and will put up with whatever she's going through and dealing with, you know?
And I honestly feel like that's her tactic. Like, I think there are people who care about her. She doesn't want that. I think she wants to push away anyone who is going to go against what it is she wants
to do.
And I am very afraid for her, honestly. The 2 episodes that we watched, I'm scared like very soon within the year she's not going to be with us anymore.
Yeah. And that preview of her niece who hadn't seen her in so long, and you could tell just how heartbroken she was, because she said it was just jarring because Wendy's obviously not who she remembers. She's not okay.
Even when they were showing those clips of like, you know, the Wendy Williams shows and just like
during COVID and stuff.
Pre-COVID, just showing like the actual Wendy Williams shows, and she's always been a radio host. She's always like been this TV show host. She's always been articulate. She can talk. She can hold a conversation. She always has a point to be made. And then it was like when the pandemic hit, and she started to just kind of seem very detached from it. Yeah. And then just like even now with this documentary, it's like I can barely follow anything she says. She doesn't have a whole lot to say, and like articulating a point is bad. And I'm like, it is so sad to see someone who was a talk show host and on television to be where she is now, and they're gonna try to do a podcast. Like, I'm Will has to be on it too.
Oh, absolutely.
Because that's the only way that's gonna be. Sorry.
You are good. I was just gonna say I'm interested in seeing what happens in the next few episodes, because we did see that clip of her and Black China like having a heart-to-heart, and I don't know if is that from the same documentary, but
I'm not sure. I think it is.
If it is, it's really shocking just the difference between that clip versus the first 2 that we've seen, because as you know, Wendy's a very vain person. She always cares about, you know, she wants to make sure she looks delicious, fabulous, whatever. She doesn't look great in that clip. I don't think she has a wig on. And China is telling her, or whatever she goes, I don't remember what her real name is.
Angelo.
Thank you. Angela is having a heart-to-heart telling her, you know, you've always been so kind to me, even though, you know, I've been less than favorable in the media, whatever. And I appreciate you for that. Wendy literally says, my real name is Wendy Hunter and I'm divorced and he has no money. And she's like, yeah, like, you know, and it's just like, girl,
like, what does that have to do
out of it.
Yeah.
I feel like it's really sad to see how quickly, you know, a decline like this can happen for someone who had so much.
Absolutely. Or like the scene where they take her back to the street that's named after her in her hometown, and like she
doesn't know
where she grew up.
The lady had to tell her,
and the lady told her.
She's like, yeah, well, that's why this is called this, because you grew up right down there.
Yeah, like they had to make sure, da 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 da. And I'm like, that was wild to me. And like even Wendy was like, are you sure? And I'm like, what? And also, why did the crew not look beforehand? Because why would you film that scene? But I guess
I think the crew is doing their job. You know what? It's Lifetime at the end of the day. They're gonna. Lifetime is the first one to make a movie about whatever crazy murderous that, like, you know what I mean? I hate to say it, they're a little bit of opportunists.
I keep going back to, I want to know who greenlit this. Like, first of all, who said, yeah, we should do a documentary about Wendy during this time. She's ready to make a comeback. And then I want to know, like, after everything was filmed, who said, yeah, we like everything that you filmed, and let's put it out.
Let's put it out.
Because it's not giving
publishing this
to the public. I mean, maybe so that we can cry for help for her, because somebody needs to interfere at this point.
I do think it's a great way, though, to give a little bit of perspective. Like, everyone has their thoughts and opinions about Wendy, but I do think it's a great way to give perspective, regardless of if it's going to change people's minds or not, you know?
Oh my gosh. Like, my heart was hurt. And then I was like, I've always liked Wendy. I mean, I used to watch her Hot Topic clips at work and stuff, like religiously. And she's always been blunt and abrasive. And like, we know that about her.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's her style. But I just hope that somebody helps her, and somebody helps her quick. And I hope that somebody also, who's the legal guardian? Somebody needs to step up at this point.
I was just gonna say, it's one of those situations where I feel like, okay, so it's come out that she's got this dementia, aphasia, whatever. Does this mean that there is someone now who is like appointed to specifically caring for her and helping her make these decisions, because she's obviously not able or capable of it herself?
Well, and like, those are the questions that I have, because the way they alluded to it in the show is that she was appointed a legal guardian, like out of nowhere. Nobody knows who it
family.
Nobody knows who it is. So I'm like, first of all, how is that legal? One. And two, if we're going to do that, then make it her son.
Well, they said their reasoning behind it was because they said that the family was low-key fighting about it. And because they couldn't come to an agreement on who would be the one, I guess, to like do it, that's why they had to go with like a third-party guardian.
Again, I still go back to make it her son, because
he seems like he's got a lot of sense to him, right?
I mean, even if he doesn't, she wants him to have the money anyway.
Everything, like when she dies, everything's going to him regardless.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, why wouldn't it have just gone to him anyway? So, my call to action is like, please, somebody help Wendy.
Help Wendy, please. No, she needs it. She really does. It's really sad, regardless of who she is. It's really sad to see someone,
you know, how you feel about her. It's been a very quick spiral and downfall. And like, I would love to see her make a comeback as a podcaster. I think that would be fun, but like, she cannot do it in the way that she is now.
No. I don't know that, like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, you know, Bruce Willis, he was also diagnosed with aphasia. There's no coming back from that. You know what I mean?
No.
Like, and dementia kills people. So I'm concerned that if her drinking doesn't kill her, then the dementia and the aphasia combined is, I don't know, before 2025, 2026, I don't know. We're going to see that headline. I feel like, I hate to say that. I'm so sorry. I don't want to put that out there. I hate that I said that.
I hate to say it, but
I'm concerned.
I mean, everybody does meet their day, and I feel like hers is coming sooner than we all expect based off of this documentary. Prayers out to you, Wendy, and to your son and your family, honestly.
No, really. Like, honestly, at the end of the day, it's really sad to see, and I do want so much better for you and the ones that you genuinely love and care about.
And in our last few minutes of our show, we're going to transition into International Women's Day topics. Yes. So as you guys know,
Yay.
it is March 8th. And that means that it is International Women's Day. So treat your lady to something. Send her a cash app. Send her some flowers. Send her something for her nails and her hair.
I like that. Yeah.
You know,
do
also
Viv,
treat her
you
right.
Hear this? I'm just kidding.
Period, sis. Get her that sacred hair care product so we can ship it back and forth to each other.
Give me a bottle, babe. Give me a bottle, please.
But yes, it is International Women's Day, and the theme for this year is women who advocate for equity, diversity, and inclusion, which I absolutely love. This theme recognizes women throughout the country who understand that for a positive future, we need to eliminate bias and discrimination entirely from our lives and institutions. And I just won that theme, and definition of the theme is so beautiful. I think that it's also a really nice way to kind of even continue Black History Month. Like if we want to talk Black women as well, or women of color, because I'm talking women of color,
period.
But I just think that it's a really great theme, and I'm really excited to talk about it. I'll launch into my first. So we're going to talk about a couple of women who we thought we should highlight and who perfectly embody this theme. For me, this was really just a way for me to kind of shout out that I went to a museum this past weekend.
I'm a museum girly, okay?
Yes, I do like to go to museums. I'm cultured and I'm educated, okay? But no, so this past weekend, I went to the National Center of Civil and Human Rights Museum in Atlanta. I've been dying to go to this museum. One thing, if you know about me, I'm Black, I'm proud. I love anything dealing with the civil rights and anything dealing with Martin Luther King Jr. And at this museum, they actually have 3 levels. The bottom level being dedicated to Martin Luther King Jr. and some of his papers and works. Right now,
oh, that's cool.
The papers are like from civil rights, the Civil Rights Act, and as well as like his Nobel Peace Prize award speech. So like there's different papers down there and just like different history and just kind of like telling you about what was going on during that time. And that exhibit, you can't take any photos. So everything that you go in, it's memories and what you can read. And it was really, really cool. The second level being covering the civil rights and specifically the civil rights movement in the South and in the US. And that one was very hard to go through. I was triggered in a bad way. And they also had this immersive part of the exhibit where you could do a sit-in like they used to do.
A sit-in for what?
So you would sit at a counter and it was like you were sitting at the diner at the white only section, and you had headphones. You put your hands on the countertop and you closed your eyes, and all you heard was a bunch of shouting. The chairs moved, so it was like people were kicking you, glasses breaking. Like it was I cried. It was very hard because right prior to that, they actually had video of these sit-ins of people being beat just sitting at countertops.
That's right, because they were
meal.
protesting, right? That's why
Yes.
they would intentionally go in as a group and sit and order food at these places.
Yes. So this was like one of their ways of non-violently protesting, and like the way that they had to conduct themselves, I commend them for their bravery. But it was very hard to be a part of, and I bet, I recommend it to anybody who has the chance to go. But
I love a good museum trip, so I'm in there. I never knew of this, honestly. I'm surprised that the amount of times I've been to Atlanta, I've not made it there, especially something as Black as this.
Let's be for real. What is Atlanta really known for?
It is peaches, chicken wing strip clubs. I don't know what.
There you go. That's the top 3 right there.
Oh, okay. I was like, I don't know.
Let me not say that. Let me not, because they are definitely known for civil rights. I mean, Martin Luther King Jr. was born here. His house is still here.
Yes.
So many people, so many important people are from Atlanta, including Stacey Abrams. But to be fair, a lot of people aren't looking to go to the National Center of Civil and Human Rights Museum. It's kind of a downer if you're out here on vacation. Let's be for real.
No, I get that.
But the third level of the museum focused on global human rights. And I will say for me, like, I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm not into human rights, but I was far more moved by the civil rights level. And by the time I got to the human rights level, I was ready to get out of there because I was like teary-eyed and like everything was kind of triggering me.
It's emotionally draining. Yeah.
It was one of those things where I was like, honestly, the human rights section was a bit of a not a relief, but like respite. Like I was like, oh, okay, I can breathe now. Like,
yeah, no, I got you.
Like I just felt like I finally had a moment to kind of like calm down and like let my emotions kind of like settle. And I will say, like, it's not like that for everybody, but just for me, because of who I am, I was just very moved by the museum. Yeah. However, in the human rights section, they had different, they focused on different types of rights, LGBTQ. They focused on like, not focused on, but there were like parts of the exhibit that showed different dictators. And so like they went through Hitler and like a bunch of other people, like kind of told their stories, like where they were the dictator, how long they reigned, and like how they kind of lost power or whatever. There was a part of the exhibit where they showed like some of your favorite things, like roses and chocolate and shoes, and it told you like this is how this stuff is made. Some of it by child labor.
Oh hell no!
Some of these people are being pushed out of their community so that they can completely deforest their homes and take, you know, the materials to mass produce them for us. Right. And so it was a very, again, it was very moving. And I'm so sorry. I don't want to interrupt, but I know that to this day it's 2024 and we still hear complaints about like, you know, child labor and just stuff like that. And it really blows my mind how every single day, and we won't even talk about what's going on in Israel and Palestine, but like human rights are violated all the fucking time and have consistently been for years. And like that's the norm in other
exactly.
countries.
I mean, I don't know. I've seen some articles and stuff too talking about how we've had children in our country working in like coal mines and shit, like
absolutely
5-6 years old, like babies.
That's why they came up with them child labor laws, because they were like, this is not okay.
We're not gonna do this in America.
Yeah. And so one of the other parts of this exhibit in the human rights section was like it noted a bunch of different human rights activists who had been imprisoned for years. And so I wanted to take this time for International Women's Day to highlight one of them. Her name she's living. Her name is Loujain Al-Hathloul, which I probably just butchered that. But she is a 34-year-old badass.
She's young.
She is a Saudi women's rights activist and a political prisoner. She was known for her role in the Women to Drive movement, which fought for Saudi women's right to drive cars.
Oh my God, I remember hearing about this.
And
I remember the day that they like talked about how women were able to drive.
Yes. And then also she had a large part in opposing male guardianship system, which required all women to have a male guardian. And that's actually still a law. They've just kind of amended it. I think in 2019, they made it so that there's like an age limit. So it's up till 21 that you have to have a guardian, a male guardian.
So these women are never alone a day in their life? Is that what I'm understanding?
They have to have a male guardian with them at all times, whether that be their dad, uncle, brother.
Wow.
Yes. And so even to your point just now, I'm thinking of, you know, we have these rights and freedoms that we're just like, we take this shit for granted. And like she was fighting for women to be able to drive cars.
And that's the part. So it's like, if I don't know, that just seems so like
why is that not
thing.
just a right? Like, why would you need to take my right to drive away from me?
And I wonder what other rights they don't have, if that's like, you know what I mean? If that's on that, just on that scale. Yeah.
So listen to this. This is what's really mind-blowing. She was arrested. Actually, she was kidnapped in May of
Because she was driving by herself? She was in a car with no man?
No, she was literally just kidnapped. Her and a few other prominent women's rights activists, they were all kidnapped in the UAE, and they were deported to Saudi Arabia, where they were charged with attempting to destabilize the kingdom. They were literally, this happened just because they were fighting for the rights.
For rights.
Drive their cars. They were arrested. Good night. And
how does that, like, how do you destabilize a kingdom? If anything, this is great because now, look, both mom and dad can take one of the kids to school while the other can go to soccer practice, and you don't have to be there sitting on top of her the whole time. This is making the life more efficient for everybody. What are we talking about?
They don't care about any of that. And the mom's in the house. What are you talking about? Like,
that's right. They can't go outside anyway.
Kind of sports. What are you talking about?
I forgot.
Like, shoot. What are you talking about?
Oh my God.
They have no autonomy of their own lives and bodies. They're basically born and like told what to do and how to move. Like, you want to have fun and play a sport? Too bad. Sorry. That in your dreams. So yeah, she was detained in May of 2018. While she was detained in Saudi Arabia, she and several other detainees were actually tortured. And the torture spanned from like electric shock. They beat their feet. They waterboarded them.
What is a feet beating? I'm sorry. I don't know.
I'm assuming. Like, I honestly, I don't know I don't know much about torture, but I'm assuming whips so that you can't walk.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like
that's look that up.
That's my best bet. Her family was able to visit her at one point, and they said that the inner sides of her thighs were bruised blue and black. They said that at one point she went on a hunger strike while she was there. And here's the gag. So she was arrested in 2018, right? She wasn't released until February of 2021, and like her sentencing was like pushed out because of the pandemic. So she essentially sat in jail for this shit for three years, being tortured at that, because she was fighting for women's rights,
to drive
and to not have to have male supervision or guardianship over them in order to do things. She also still has a 5-year travel ban on her, so she won't be able to leave until like 2026.
And this is Saudi Arabia or the UAE? Oh, okay.
Saudi Arabia. So she's been released from jail, but she's not able to travel for 5 years.
I can confirm that you are right. So basically what they do is they like tie your feet together, obviously, and like your toes, so that you can't pull away or separate them. And they take like a rod, a ruler, a stick or something, and they just keep smacking the soles and stuff of your feet. Yeah, it's called falinga.
Here's my thing. Like, what exactly is the torture supposed to do? Because it's not like they're holding any or withholding any information.
No,
so
literally.
You're just sitting here torturing them because you can't.
No. That's incredible. What I will also note, and just thinking about, is the fact that, like you were saying, this happened within the last 5-6 years. Like
2018.
That she's being tortured for just basic rights, when I thought our country was behind.
Do you hear me?
I thought we were doing bad.
That's why I had to highlight her, because when I saw her name in the exhibit and with all the other prisoners, like a lot of the stuff that they were in prison for was just for standing up and using their voice. And because of the countries that they're in, they don't like that. So they get locked up, and some of these people, they're detained and like they're just in jail awaiting trial, and forgotten about. It never comes.
Yeah,
and it's so crazy. So
there was that case about that kid, and I think it was out here, who they arrested him for something so minute, minuscule. They put him in solitary confinement. He was in solitary confinement for like 2 years straight. He comes out and almost like kills himself immediately. Like, it was just, yeah, I don't know, that those institutions are not made for people long term. They're really not.
I have an entire rant about prisons I can't go into right now, but agreed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just wanted to shout her out and shine a light because I thought her story was amazing. And I think that she is absolutely fighting for equality of women every day. And she went to jail for it and was tortured for it. And,
you know, and I guess. No, and I will say, like, you know, and I don't want to, again, we're in a little dark here, but there was that active military member, Aaron Bushnell, who just committed that act of protest. He set himself on fire at the embassy in DC. And one of the last things I think he tweeted or like posted before he did that act was that, you know, you always ask yourself, like, what I would do in the event of like a historical occurrence or just like, you know, and something just major that's happening, life-changing. And he said, and the answer is you're doing it right now. You know, so you can take action, you can be stagnant, like whatever you think you would do when that time comes, the time is here, and whatever you're doing it right now. And that speaks volumes to, like, you know, she literally took action and was made, you know, an example of in a way.
Yeah.
You know, and there's a lot of people who I can't say that I would do it if I was in her shoes. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know that I would.
Torture is something else. And
at the end of the day,
that you brought that up because lately I have been feeling very stagnant and I feel moved to do something. I mean, for me, I don't know what that looks like, but I have to find it because
the last time we were moved to do something, we got caught in downtown Seattle while they were burning police cars and raiding.
And see, I learned from that experience. I know I'm not meant for the streets.
That's the last time we were moved to do something. We almost died.
I'm thinking about a blog, maybe. That sounds more of my speed.
I'm a keyboard warrior, an activist.
A podcast, something, because I can't. I commend her, but it can't be me. So that's who I wanted to highlight. I'll pass the torch to you, Jasmine, to highlight your lady.
No, so of course there are so many people that we could highlight, even some that you and I both know, like, personally. There's one person who I don't think about as like talked enough, also kind of similar along the lines of Ruby Bridges. This woman, her name is Minniejean Brown Trickey. You actually kind of sort of touched on some of this earlier when you were talking about your visit to the museum. This next portion here is not important, but I do love how Southern her name is. I have an aunt. So I have an aunt named Minnie. My mom's middle name is Jean. I just think it's super cute. But she is known for being one of the Little Rock Nine. So back in the late 50s, she helped to desegregate schools back in the late 50s. So it's not like it's something that they just decided to do one day. It was something that became prevalent in the South, where they were basically saying that, like, you know, you cannot segregate public schools, private schools, private sector, whatever. We have no say, but public schools with public funds, government, all that shit, you can't have white only schools. So they decided to kind of, like what you were saying, protest this. They enrolled. And I think, and from what I was reading with what she was saying, is she didn't necessarily enroll in this school to make a stand. I think what she was saying is that it was like a location made decision. You know, she had no issue going to school where she was. She enjoyed it wasn't like, I think actually she said the teachers at her Black school were more educated than at this school. She said her principal had PhDs, doctorates, they all, like, yeah. No, right? Are we surprised?
I'm not at all.
You know? And she and her other classmates, they were met with an angry mob. And as I was reading it, they said that like the mob was as big as like 1,000 people. Imagine being that mad that people of a different skin tone were allowed to go to the same school. You feel me? And, you know, it's really annoying because they did send out like the National Guard. They were supported by the government. I think they said throughout the course of how long it took for things to like settle down by her taking this act, her and the others.
Well, wasn't it in like 58 and didn't they end up shutting the school down? They were so upset about it.
So yeah, they I think ended up using $3 million worth of government money in order to make sure that these people could go to school protected. So that's like paying for the guards. And it got so bad to where, so the school intentionally kept them separated. So of these 9 kids, they never had a class together. They were not allowed to like eat lunch together. Like they didn't want them to buddy up at any time. So it was definitely
they're stronger together.
Psychological warfare, you know? And there was also instances in which like it got so bad that each person had a designated like guard or two with them to follow them around. And there was instances in which even while these guards are with them, they're being attacked, spit on, you know, called all kinds of different names and things. And as soon as one of them, the Black persons would retaliate, they would get expelled.
Of course.
You know, but the guards, I didn't see anything. I don't know what happened. What do you mean she retaliated? No, she did this on purpose. So it was just like, it was fighting a losing battle. And yeah, and you're absolutely right. It did get to it got so bad to the point where people were just like boycotting sending their kids to schools that, yeah, schools were getting shut down solely because they did not want to share these spaces with brown children.
I actually remember that from the exhibit, because they were like, they shut it down that year that this happened, and then the next year they opened and were fully segregated. And I was like,
yep.
Yeah, because you guys realize you can't get away with this bullshit. And then there was something else to Ruby Bridges about your point about like the crowd that came. So at the museum, they had a quote from Ruby, and she was in New Orleans. She was in Louisiana. And she said that as a kid, she thought it was Mardi Gras. There were so many
it was a party.
She said there were so many people. They were throwing things. She was like, it gave Mardi Gras energy. And she was like, I did not realize that it wasn't, you know, like that it was like, hey, obviously she walked through the crowd. But she's like, when we pulled up, I thought it was a Mardi Gras party. And I was like, that's insane, because how old was she? Like 8?
Her and my mom are the same age from what I've learned. So I think they were both born in 1955. So by this point, she was like, kindergarten, first grade, like she was young. Yeah. Another random like side tangent here is a lot of folk in like other countries, and like just through discourse and research and stuff that I've like been seeing, scrolling my internet research, whatever. A lot of people will comment in these like threads and things, or just complain about how all we as Americans do talk about or think about is racism and slavery. And it's not like, that's not true, but it is very much a huge part of our country's history and why we are and operate the way that we do today. Slavery was abolished less than 200 years ago. Our country is barely older than that.
Right.
Public schools were only desegregated less than 70 years ago. Like I said, my mom's the same age as Ruby Bridges. So it is history. And this is all something that, it's in our past, but it's still very much prevalent in our culture. Like, Minniejean is 79 today. She's still alive. My mom is still alive. Ruby Bridges is still alive. They lived through this.
Yeah. They can speak to it. It's their lived experience. And that's say it, and you want us to not talk about us.
And you wonder why we still talk about it, because there are people who are still alive who have lived through it. And honestly, as a 30-year-old, I've lived through occasions and instances where I've experienced blatant racism, you know? Like, I don't know.
Looking at you, Bed Bath & Beyond in West Seattle.
Listen, I'm thinking about the Cabela's over up in Tulalip. Like,
damn, we just named a few places.
I've got more.
Bitches.
And on that note, also with Minniejean, and I'm sure with many others, it's something that's hard to talk about. You know, it took Minniejean a while to talk about what she went through. She actually ended up moving. I kind of like her. She seems like a badass. I definitely feel like she gives liberal vibes, which is I'm not saying liberal in a bad ways, but like she found her spouse. He got recruited or like drafted to do Vietnam. They said, fuck that, moved to Canada, settled down, and had 6 kids. So he skipped out on the draft.
That's what's up.
They moved to Canada, had 6 kids. But what she was saying is that for the longest time, she did not talk about what she went through because of how hard, like, it really was to fathom. And she didn't think that people or like her kids or anyone close to her would believe her because there's not like out and out proof of it. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
The 9 of them that experienced what they experienced, like in that school, each had a very unique experience, and none of which were great. Imagine going to the bathroom by yourself.
Girl, I would have had that guard with me 24/7, 365. I don't care.
Right.
Get outside the fucking stall. I don't care.
They only found out like who she was through records back in like, I think they said like the 80s or whatever. And that was when they kind of like found her to be like, hey, we know like who you are. Can you tell us your story? Can you share with us your story?
I love that.
Turns out she's made her whole, like, she's been a career activist her entire life. Some of her accolades include a Congressional Gold Medal. She's got an NAACP Spring Honor Award or Spring Honor Medal and a Wolf Award. She worked as a Deputy Assistant Secretary for Workforce Diversity at the Department of the Interior. And she spent majority of her time as an anti-racist educator and environmental campaigner. So
come on, Minniejean.
No, it's what I love is that, you know, I feel like as someone who went through what she went through, being one of the Little Rock 9, choosing to also, I don't want to say like run from that, but like she didn't make that like her claim to fame. She kind of did her own thing with her husband, but was still very much living in her own way of preaching, you know, diversity, inclusion, and education about all of that. That it just speaks to like who who she was as a person and the kind of person that she wants other people to be out in this world and everything. Yeah.
I love that so much.
No, absolutely.
Moved. I'm more moved.
You feel me?
Than I was 2 days ago. I've just been moved all week. I need to do something. I'm not doing enough.
No, I totally get that. Absolutely.
Well, we hope that you guys enjoyed the show today. We hope that you take the time today to celebrate, honor, show love to a woman that you know. And if you are a woman, we love you. Girl power, peace, love, and prosperity, all of that.
That was cute.
But as always, if you guys have any questions and or suggestions for the show, you know where to drop them in our DMs on our Instagram at The Way Jazz and Tae, or our Twitter at The Way JT. You can also find us on Facebook if you just search The Way with Jazz and Tae. And we're streaming on all streaming platforms.
Literally, there's no excuse why you cannot find us. Just search The Way with Jazz and Tae on anywhere that you can find a podcast, and I guarantee you we're going to be there.
We there. All right. Until next time, y'all.
Bye.
Peace.
As always, thank you so much for tuning into The Way. Catch you next week.
Follow us on Instagram at The Way Jazz and Tae and on Twitter at The Way JT. Don't be afraid to DM us if you have any questions or suggestions for the show.
Until next time, bye.
Peace.